Hey, happy Friday, or whatever day you're seeing this. This is Rosie at Bipolar Brilliance, bringing you another dose of wisdom, or at least a different perspective. If you're new to my channel, thanks for tuning in. I am a mother, a health educator, and a person who has been living with bipolar disorder and ADHD for at least 11 years. At least that's how long I've known about the conditions. So what I want to kind of talk about today is duality. Oh, it's all my disclaimer. I'm not a doctor. I don't give medical advice. This is just my own experience and perspective. So the video that I posted yesterday was about kind of that codependent way of projecting my own responsibility for other people's moods. So in other words, you know, someone's upset and I think it's gotta be me. And so my take-home message was, it's not me, it's them. But the duality thing kind of kicked in today, especially after a conversation that I had. Really insightful conversation that I had yesterday with somebody. We were talking about psychosis. And it's really humbling, truth hurts kind of thing to think about when I defended myself in mental health court. And it almost would be like self-protective if I didn't remember that clearly. But I do remember it fairly clearly. And that was an instance where it wasn't them, it was me, because I was believing some things that weren't exactly true. And just gonna be honest, I kind of was in an outcry. Maybe this isn't the nicest thing to say to myself, but when I think back on it, I think I acted the fool in this place. And so that whole thing happened 11 years ago when I, you know, basically agreed to check into a psych ward. And then once I got there, I was like, I don't like it here. Can I leave? And they said, nope. If you want to try to leave, you can go, you know, in a couple days to this mental health court. And at the time, I was kind of, I want to say there was somebody that was sort of a troublemaker, not putting it all on them, but that was feeding me some ideas, conspiratorial, of the conspiratorial sort. And I ate them right up and I ran with it. And they were delusions. And so I was in there very, very convinced. This also, I think, had to do with a withdrawal from marijuana, but that's a side note. So many other topics to talk about. Yeah, pro tip. That is not such a benign substance, especially for somebody who's already prone to mental health issues, but that is for another time. So the point is that, yeah, a lot of the time, you know, it's not me, it's them. Somebody is, you know, I'm getting negative vibes off of them or anything, and I'm kind of an empath, a highly sensitive person, so I pick up on those things, and then I immediately, you know, with my people pleasing whatever, I'm like, oh, what did I do? What can I do to make them feel better? Yeah. And also sometimes, like in that particular instance in the past, it wasn't them, it was me. And I thought it was everyone else. So how do we distinguish? I don't know. That's another accountability. Let's just say that accountability, checks and balances. Yeah. And so the other duality thing that I wanted to bring it back to, like today, is this idea. Okay. So tying them together, the truth hurts, right? It's painful sometimes, even for me to think back, even though that was 11 years ago, to think. It's kind of embarrassing, I guess, because I've always prided myself on being this very logical, reasonable person. So anyway, that is what it is. That's part of the work that I have to do. Okay, sometimes the truth hurts. Sometimes we need to hear it. So I have this little, I call this my abstract decision-making die. It's just something that I made a few weeks, months, I don't know, whatever. All the time blends in together. It's 2020 here, y'all. But this is one of those, I had saved this quote from a really long time ago, and I found it and it irritated me. But I really think it's one of those that I needed. It irritates me because the truth hurts. Okay, so it says, and I won't be able to read this. It says, take up one thing and do it, and see the end of it. And before you have seen the end, do not give up. Those who only take a nibble here and a nibble there will never attain anything. And that's by Vivekananda. I am not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. I'm not that familiar with this person's work, but I'm pretty sure I came across the book, and there's sort of like there's a discipline to this point of view of spiritual development. And so take up one thing and do it, and see the end of it. And before you have seen the end, do not give up. Those who only take a nibble here and a nibble there will never attain anything. And that's been staring me in the face today and lately, because I do have a lot of things that are partially started. And this is like my ADHD style sometimes, of going around and trying to do things. And sometimes I feel like it's working. Maybe if you stick at it for long enough, and you go from this thing to that and that and that around the house, and eventually you get it all done. But if you get interrupted in the middle of it, as is often the case in life, then you end up with like this super chaotic, with everything half done, undone, like a big mess. You know, I started to organize this cabinet and half the stuff is out, and then I decided, oh, I was on my way to this room to get this thing, and then, oh yeah, I'll do this. And perhaps you can relate. So on the other hand, there is something that I have used to accomplish major things, and that is really about taking a nibble here and there. I didn't know it at the time when I was completing my master's degree, and when I was studying for my certification exam as a CHES, I hate that acronym, Certified Health Education Specialist. I had, let's say, I think it was about 40 to 60 days to prepare. And I knew that I just don't do well with cramming. This was a big exam, you know, 6 or 7 major different areas, a lot of material. You know, this is like my whole master's program in an exam. And I've already got exam anxiety and everything else. I get distracted easily. So I said, okay, I am going to, every single day, this is what was manageable to me, I'm going to do 20 minutes a day. And I was using this little cool website that I don't know if it still exists. It's called chains.cc. And you can make a chain for yourself and check up. You can change the little visuals, and it's just super reinforcing. Like, you know, it connects. And then most of them, like, the motif, like, say once you reach 7 days, then the whole thing bling, and it changes to something even cooler. And so really awesome. And I'm like, I'm not going to break the chain. Every single day I'm going to do 15 to 20 minutes. You know, it was like I had my minimum, and now I can stop after that. I'm going to look at these flashcards, and I did that for 40 days, and I passed the exam, and it went well, and it was fine. And a mentor of mine at the university at the time said, oh, you're doing the Swiss cheese approach. So that, to me, contradicts that whole, if you only take a nibble here and there, you won't attain anything. I completed my master's paper in a similar way. I used Pomodoros which is also, there's plenty of apps for that. And I've broken through writer's block many times by saying, oh my gosh, you know, I had many classes in my early college days where I didn't complete the class. I would have had an A, I got an A, except I didn't finish the term paper. And I can write. It's a sort of a perfectionist thing that you end up procrastinating, or sometimes it's too much to wrap my head around. And so once I got into my master's program many years later, I would say, all right, oh my gosh, I don't even know what to write on this topic. I'm gonna set a timer for whatever seemed totally easy to my brain. Some days that might be 10-15 minutes, other days that might be like 2 or 3 minutes. You know, when I first started meditating, I set the timer for 1 minute because I knew it was going to be a challenge just to do that. So I wanted to build up a win. So I've done that with papers to overcome writer's block, where I would set that timer for 3 minutes and say, okay, I'm just going to type whatever comes to my mind. Luckily, I type fast, just like I talk fast. It's not always hypomania. It's just kind of how I be. Although you should hear me when, okay, anyway. And then usually what happens, I might start typing just, I don't even know what to type, or I don't like this assignment, or, you know, I could write this, but that, nobody would like to read that, or that would be kind of ridiculous, or even just not censoring myself at all. I might be like using, you know, words that you definitely wouldn't use in a paper for school. But what happens, then the timer goes off. I just use an analog timer, but whatever you have, or a digital thing that's not on my phone. Sometimes the phone is distracting. Whatever, it doesn't matter. You can use your phone, you can use anything. The timer goes off, and what happens a lot with me is that I'm like, okay, either A, I broke through the barrier in my mind, and I'm like, oh, now I'm starting to think about some things that I could write. And I might have even written a thought or two that I know I can come back to later. So I can save it and close it and say, yay, job well done, check it off the list. Or I can say, you know what, I could continue a little longer, and I'm gonna set the timer for another 3 minutes. Or you know what, I think I could do 10 more minutes now. And then check in again when that's happening. So point being, it can be two seemingly contradictory things can be true at the same time. So for me right now, I definitely need to work on wrapping up some things that are taking up way too much real estate in my head and my space, my physical space. And at the same time, you know, I could follow my own advice and say, when it all just seems way too overwhelming, just set a timer for a very brief period of time. Decide on one thing to do at that moment, even if it's only a couple minutes. The discipline, how long can I discipline myself to focus on this one task? And then sometimes that also reels me in from spending way too much time on something that really doesn't need to take that much time. So, as usual, I could go on and on, but this video is pretty long, and I do have a lot of work to do right now that I'd like to do. So I'm gonna say that's it for today. I appreciate you tuning in. If this resonated with you in any way, please remember to like the video and subscribe. Turn your alerts on so you know when I post a new video, because I am posting frequently. And if you think this could help anybody, please feel free to share it widely. Connect with me also on Twitter, which is at BP Brilliance LLC. There is a lot of good conversation on Twitter about mental health. And then I am also on Instagram. It's not that active right now, but it's Bipolar Brilliance coaching. And also, I would really love to hear other people's thoughts about any of this. How can I provide information or stories or resources that can help you as a person who might have mental health diagnoses, or who is a friend, family member, support person for people in that situation? This is a really challenging time for everyone right now. So please take care of yourselves, take care of each other. Comment below on any of your thoughts, or if you're not comfortable sharing them in that way, you can reach out to me directly at bipolar-brilliance-coaching@gmail.com, and that just comes to me. Thank you again. Happy Libra new moon. Oh yeah, I'm a Libra sun, so that also explains the whole duality thing. Plus being bipolar. Okay, bye.